Without any further ado, my very good friend, Mr. Dickey Beer, stuntman extraordinaire, storyteller, and also from Return of the Jedi, Mr. Kevin Thompson. Wedge Antilles voice, David Acord. Very nice guy. I had dinner with him a couple nights ago. And Dak himself, and a Bespin Boba Fett, Mr. John Morton. And the guy who, Luke Skywalker didn't do it, the guy who really blew up the Death Star, Mr. Thaine Morris. And one of my favorite stuntmen ever, Mr. Julius LeFlore. He doesn't like me. All right, so we're going to have to, this is the largest panel of the weekend, so we're going to have, some of you got a mic? Who's got a mic? So you take the mic from 0 to minus and just put it on, because I'm sure they didn't turn it on. They haven't done it all. They haven't done it all weekend. Here, this is for you, Mr. LeFlore. Okay, we all good? Everybody got a mic on? We got one. Oh my God, Margo is also supposed to, come on out, Margo. That's why we have, I was wondering why they gave me another chair. Margo, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm blaming that on Tucky. He was in your way. I'm so sorry.
He did that on purpose.
So we've worked on projects before. I'm so sorry. I didn't. How you guys all doing? Good. Original trilogy. The best part of Star Wars. We know that, right? The best part was absolutely. So everybody's doing good today. You guys all having a good time here in Dallas?
Barbecue with stormtroopers. Any stormtroopers out there? Love to invite you over. You know, we got barbecue sauce and all sorts of hickory. We got a hickory smoke and stuff like that, so if there's any stormtroopers out there, love to have you over for a barbecue.
That's in canon. They actually, the Ewoks actually ate some of those people, the rebels in the books. The rebel pilots had to stop them.
Yes, we had to clear the forest. And people, all these rebel guys coming over going, wow, what is that? It tastes so familiar.
Mm-hmm. So it might be a good idea, because there's so many, God, this might be the biggest panel I've ever done. Why don't we start with John and pass the mic around? Why don't we say just a brief little, who are you and why are you on my stage?
Yeah, I was in Empire Strikes Back. I'm John Morton. I played Dak Ralter, who was Luke Skywalker's tail gunner, and I did 2 days for Jeremy Bulloch as Boba Fett, saying, he's no good to me, dead.
You also had a great line as Dak. Can you say, here's one of the best lines in the movie, I think.
Right now, I feel like I can take on the whole panel all by myself.
All right, there you go. Mr. Beers.
What do you want to know?
What did you do for the original trilogy? That's what we're going to talk about. Why? This is the original trilogy stage, the best part of all of Star Wars, the best 3 movies ever made, and what was your contribution?
I was 5 different characters. One of them was Boba Fett, the other one was Gamorrean Guard, the other one was Barada, biker scout, rebel soldier, and a stormtrooper. And I doubled for Luke Skywalker.
See, that's why I didn't know that. What part? When he was fighting in the...
Well, what happened was, as you know, and you will find out that a lot of the stunt guys got hurt on the Sarlacc pit. And one of the guys that got hurt was the stunt double, the real stunt double for, or the original stunt double for Luke Skywalker. So I had to take over from him, and that guy was, his name is Colin Skeeping. And Colin is a really like athletic guy, you know, tumbler, and he can walk on his hands and all that kind of stuff. I'm not like that, so I did a few things, and it didn't look as good as they wanted it to look, but I was okay. I got away with it, you know. They used it on film, so it must have been okay.
Okay, well done you. Kevin, so this is like an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. You just say your name and what you did. But not for alcohol, just for Star Wars.
Hi, my name's Kevin Thompson.
Hi, Kevin. I didn't mean to do it like that.
And I'm an alcoholic Ewok.
Who loves barbecue.
Who loves barbecue. Yes. I played 20 different Ewoks, and I'm in 38 different scenes in the battle. And so I was basically all the Ewoks. It was like, follow me, boys. Yeah, I take out all 3 ATSTs. I could do every single rope swing. I probably kill about 40 different stormtroopers. So, yes, all those people who sit there and say, "Oh my gosh, what's going to happen to the rebels? How are we going to get out of this?" And then some Ewok comes flying in, taking out 2 stormtroopers. That was me taking out Dickey.
Dickey, were you at all killed by an Ewok in Return of the Jedi? Do you recall?
Sorry?
Were you killed by an Ewok during Return of the Jedi? Do you recall?
By more than one.
By more? Oh, all right. So he killed you more than once or twice.
Yes, yes.
More than one. Like what actually happened was, as soon as you were knocked out by one of the Ewoks, they would replace you with a dummy, and then they put you in another spot and get killed again. You know, like that. That's how it went. But I was actually lucky because what happened was we were doing that scene, but the day before, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, and a couple of the stunt guys and myself, we had a party, and we were not quite sober when we came to work in the
not
morning.
those
so
guys.
we were a little bit hungover.
You were with Carrie.
And,
You were with Carrie.
yeah, you know that. Yeah. Anyway, cut a long story short, I was knocked out and by one of the Ewoks, and I think it was this one actually. And I ended up on the floor, and I fell asleep. And then in the stormtrooper outfit. And then Carrie realized that I fell asleep, and she talked to Lucas and the director, forgot his name now.
Richard Marquand.
Yeah, told them to work around me, leave me on the floor, leave me asleep, because she knew I was still hungover from the night before. And anyway, the other stunt guys had to just keep on working, and they were really not happy with me laying there sleeping, you know. So filming went on all day, and I'm still on the floor sleeping, and then they wrapped and they left me. They didn't wake me up. So everybody's gone, and I'm still asleep, and then night started falling in the forest, and it was getting really cold, and that's when I woke up. Now it's dark, and there's animals around it and everything, and I went like, what the heck? So I went to my trailer, to the porter cabin, to get my costume off, my armor off, and to put my own clothes on, but they locked it, and they took the key. So I couldn't get in there. So here I am, it's getting darker and darker, and I go like, what am I going to do now? So I took all the armor off, and underneath it we had black leotards, like completely black costume underneath it. So I took all the armor off and went back to the road, but there was one thing, the helmet, they were really like, you know, the helmet was the one thing, you couldn't get it hurt, you couldn't lose it, couldn't break it, whatever. And so I thought, like, I'm not going to leave that under the porter cabin, I'm going to take that with me. So I'm walking down the forest in my white boots, black outfit, and a stormtrooper helmet under my arm. About half an hour to 45 minutes walk to the main road, and then I started to try and hitchhike back to the hotel. So
It's 45 minutes to the hotel.
yeah, true. And so here I am standing there, trying to get a lift, and every car that came towards me, so it started coming towards me in a straight line, and then it made a really wide turn around me and just kept on going. So I went like, that's not going to work, because what they were seeing was like an idiot in a black suit with white boots and a white helmet under his arm. So I started walking back to the hotel, and then I put my finger up, my thumb up every time a car came by, and then finally one car stopped, and it turned out to be the receptionist in the hotel who knew me, and she stopped and took me back to the hotel. So that was my experience with getting knocked out by the Ewoks.
Those darn Ewoks. All right. Well, we're going to get to you, Margo. David, it's your turn, and try to make it so your answer somehow meshes into the fact that Dickey can answer it for you. See if you can do that.
Dickey, could you answer for me? Who am I?
I don't know.
So I'm David Ankrum, and I was the voice of Wedge Antilles in A New Hope and in Rogue One. And as a PA announcer, because I don't believe Dennis was available for it, so I was lucky enough 40 years later to go out to Disney Studios and lay down that voice. So, and that's kind of, my experience with Star Wars, just those two, the voice of Wedge in two films.
It's a big character, yeah.
So it's great to be here. I love hearing these stories. I mean, it's fantastic. So I will, talk more, but that's my intro.
Okay, no, we'll get back to
You
it.
know, and I am an alcoholic.
We could,
No, I mean, a voice actor. Okay.
Thaine, how you doing?
Thaine Morris. I worked on Empire and Return of the Jedi. My job was at ILM. If it blew up, I had to blow it up. In California, you have to have a license to blow things up. I have the license, so. Empire was fairly easy. Return of the Jedi, I had a stack of storyboards about that high that I was fairly busy for about 4 months in a room that they had put me into because I'm kind of a messy guy and I'm noisy and I smell bad.
Can you give us an anecdote about blowing up a Death Star or Jabba's? You also blew up Jabba's sail barge, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah.
Could you give it?
Among a lot of other things. Yeah, I blew up the Death Star. That's pretty easy. It was a pretty simple thing. It's a thing gay big around and they want it to go away and they want it to go away fairly quickly. And so you put the right chemicals in it and about 3 little bombs so that you can get it to open up and then make a big fireball. And that thing was, that's easy. The barge was about 4 feet long. And it started at the back end and went through the thing. So with that one, we had to get the high-speed camera out, which is 360 frames a second, 12 times speed. And I had built a timer that I could go down to 0.001 seconds with. At 360, that's 0.002 seconds per frame. So you say, okay, this goes on frame 1, this goes on frame 2, this goes on frame 5, this goes on frame 7, so that it doesn't look planned. It just stutters through it. And you get one shot at it. That's the nice thing. Yeah, right. And you get up there and you push the go switch and everything works and you go find the next thing you gotta work on.
Now, when you, for instance, when you blew up the Death Star, did you blow up that big working model they had throughout the movie, and it's the end of the film, now we can blow it up, or was this a special model that was built just to be blown up?
It was an explosion model.
Okay.
The big models like that were made out of flammable plastic, and you can't control flammable plastic very well. You set it on fire and you set the whole studio on fire. So we make stuff like that out of high temperature epoxy.
Okay.
Okay? And it's brittle. It makes it come apart easier.
Excellent. I think I just wanted to know. Good information. Mr. LeFlore, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm Julius LeFlore. I worked on Return of the Jedi. When I originally got hired to work on the show, I was there to double Lando Calrissian. And then once I got there, I was multiple characters, as Dickey was. I was like 5 different characters, and I found out since I got here, I was 2 additional that I didn't even know about. But it was at that particular time, I worked a lot in the industry, and that was one of the toughest shows I had ever worked on. Dickey was right, a lot of people got hurt. Dickey and I were multiple characters throughout the film, stormtroopers, biker scouts, Kevin knocked me out, or somebody knocked me out. You don't want
Remember
to.
that one?
But
You
the,
said hit me, and so I did.
but a lot of people don't know this, but the battle with the Ewoks was kind of real battles, because what happened was they hired a couple stunt Ewoks that were paid regular pay.
Yes.
And then they brought a lot of other Ewoks there that were getting they were hardly getting anything.
Right.
So they were pissed, rightfully so. So when the battle sequences started, they kind of took it out on us. Am I right?
Your production.
So a lot of those sequences were really authentic, and we got water balloons thrown at us at lunchtime.
Oh, yeah.
You remember you were?
But you loved it.
I got a kick out of it. But a lot of people, I mean, we could talk about behind the scenes, but as far as a stunt person goes, and what happened in the desert was something that nobody was really ready for, because we're putting hoods on in like 120-degree temperature, and nobody wanted those friggin' hoods on. Dickey, I didn't want them on, and it was very uncomfortable. Well, we thought we were doubling people, but we were actually those characters, which that's why we're on the stage right now. But it was a very ambitious shoot with a small crew, technology. I know we'll talk deeper about it, but you have Luke Skywalker swinging a little thing that looked like a stick, a black stick, and it just everything looked stupid. It was imaginary things that you were fighting, and this is new technology. You got to know this has never been seen before, at least by us, And you're fighting. There's those big chicken walker things. What are those things called?
ATST.
They're walking through the forest, and we're running and dodging and getting shot by them, and it was just, I was like, this is going to be the corniest movie ever made. And I'm gonna finish up real quick.
No, take it down.
But when I got hired on the film, and Dickey probably tell you this, I keep mentioning Dickey because we went through so much together. They wouldn't tell us the name of the film. It was called Blue Harvest. And they called me from Los Angeles to go to Yuma, Arizona, and I'm thinking, Blue Harvest, this is kind of a stupid name for a movie. Is it a farmer movie or something? What's this movie going to be about? So I get there, and when I arrived there, I was given a party, I think, by the pool, a little cocktail party. And I saw a lot of guys on crutches. I was like, shoot, am I going to be next? And walking around, and I'm saying, God, that guy kind of looks like Harrison Ford. Then I said, well, it kind of looks like Carrie Fisher there. Wow, that looks like Billy D. Williams. I said, Hollywood has no originality. All these actors look like somebody else. So later on, I'm looking, and I finally met Billy D. Williams, who's a big star, African-American community. Hey, I'm Billy D. Williams. I'm Julius LeFlore. So you're doubling me, right? And, yeah. How does it feel to work on Star Wars? Wait, this is Blue Harvest. You've been drinking. No, this is Star Wars. And then everything opened up, and it was huge, and I got enthusiasm. I was excited, to work on such an iconic film. So anyway.
Well, they called the movie Blue Harvest because they wanted it to be not known that it was Star Wars, number one. But the main reason was because of whatever reason they were saving $3 million by changing the name into Blue Harvest. That was what I heard about it. But the fun part was, like, we were all given like Blue Harvest T-shirts, Blue Harvest caps, and on the flight back, all the English guys that came back, we were all on the same flight, and we were all told, like, this is Blue Harvest, nothing to do with Star Wars. So we enter America. We come into, I think we came into Phoenix, America, or somewhere around there, and we go through passport control, and then they opened up some of our bags. And the first box that they opened They opened it up, and what came out of it? Darth Vader's head. So then, the guys at the passport control and you know
Customs?
customs, they were saying, Blue Harvest? What is this? And so they knew what was going on. But, you know, that was the funny part about it. Like, it was all hush-hush. You cannot say it's Star Wars, but everybody knew it was Star Wars, you know. It was
Especially
going on.
the early parts where you're filming outside. They want to hide that because it's not behind the studio walls and stuff. Anybody can walk up in the woods or the desert and start filming. I would have. I was like 9, and I would have flown all the way there if I could have. But Margo, so what did you do in Star Wars? What was your part?
I played. Is that on?
I don't know.
I played Tokat the Ewok in Return of the Jedi. My main scenes were, I took the gun out of Harrison Ford's hand. When they did the log scene, I was shooting the bow and arrow, and we jumped like a bunch of chickens and ran. And what else? Oh, after I took the gun away, we're bowing. You can see me going, ooh, ooh, ooh. I went through the explosive scenes, but
Anthony Daniels loves that scene. That's his favorite scene in all of Star Wars. That sound you guys are making, you know.
yeah, they're talking.
But you took the blaster from Harrison Ford. That's a
That's
big
right.
deal. I mean, he's the biggest actor in the world at the time.
That's
and
right.
You disarmed him.
We did that
Go you.
several times. Yeah,
Go you.
that was fun though. I didn't mind.
This question is for anybody. Did anybody have a favorite part of Star Wars? Like it could be a scene you did.
I was just gonna.
Oh, I'm sorry. You weren't done yet. You weren't done yet. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. No, you know how they're talking about. What was I gonna say? Oh, when we first were when they told us to beat up on the stormtroopers, right? The director goes, "Okay, guys, I want you to beat up on the stormtroopers, right?" So we got our rubber clubs and we were literally beating them up, and the guys were going, "Help! Help! Help!"
Look at the look on your face.
Okay. What happened was, as the fights continued for several weeks, the Ewoks kind of got slick. They started developing like WWF moves. And we were doing okay for a second, but there's Ewok would kind of get behind you low because our visibility wasn't too good. And then one would run and tackle you and hit you in the chest, and you flip over backwards. And once you're on the ground, they beat the hell out of us.
So you were one of the Ewoks that was beating people as they were on the ground?
Well, I remember that when we first did that, the guys were going, "Help! Help!" And the director goes, "Okay, cut." He goes, "Don't really beat them up. Pretend." We go,
Acting.
"Yeah." We go, "Well, you told us to beat them up, so we beat them up. We just did what we said. We were told."
And
Well,
see,
the whole thing with the Ewoks was there were only a number of guys that have been in the films before, but most of them had never been in a movie, and so they were told like beat them up. So they were beating us up. That's what happened for real, because they didn't know how to pretend beating somebody up. They had no idea.
Well, what we had was balsa wood props, and so I remember I was hitting you. It was one of the first days I was hitting you, Julius, and I've got a balsa wood club, and I'm just pretending to hit you, and you look at me and you go, and they're like, the director's mad because you're not reacting. So it's like, and the director says, "Cut," and he says, "Look, you gotta," and you look at me and you go, "Look, I got this plastic on. You gotta hit me hard. This is just a very light club. You gotta hit me hard. I can't feel it, so hit me hard with that." Well, meanwhile, the prop guy goes, "Oh, they're not even hitting them. So maybe I should just give them a real club." Yeah, exactly. And so I reach out for my prop, and he gives me a real club. By word of Julius says, "Hit him hard." So here comes action. I hit Julius hard. Julius goes down. Down goes Julius. We says, "Cut, that was great." Julius going, "What the heck just happened?" You know, I couldn't react, and now I could.
Well, the scene where you hit us on the log, we're running along the log, and one of the stunt guys got hurt. So they shipped him off, and they brought a guy in by the name of Teddy Grossman. He's the guy in the picture you were asking me about, Dickey.
Yeah.
So we're running across the log, and Teddy's like, "Well, what's going to happen?" I said, "You'll see." He says, well, I'm new at what can I expect? I said, Teddy, we just run across the log and everything else will be automatic. What do you mean automatic? Just run across the freaking log, man, okay? So anyway, they call action. I ran across, and you hit me. You hit me.
I hit you with the, is that the swinging, when it comes swinging in on you and knock you off?
You knocked me off the log, but somebody came and swung, and Teddy was running. It was two people left, Larry Holt and Teddy Grossman. Somebody hit Teddy, and he flew about 14 feet. and he's laying down. He couldn't move. He was laying down with his head, his legs up in the air. His helmet was off. And he said, nobody told me that was going to happen. But anyway, that was very typical. And the thing is, those stormtrooper outfits, they were cheap. They were not sophisticated. And the one thing that a lot of Ewoks got wise to is when they hit us in the head, it'd ring our bell. And that was, that's what we signed up for. But
It's a headshot.
the headshot. And then, like I said, they had like WWF moves. You couldn't see them because there was a lot of ferns there. And the guy would hide down low.
Furnace gigantus.
And then one would hit you in the stomach, and then you go over, and then the club comes and straightens you out, and you're down for the count. And then while you're down, you think that's it. Then it's just a barrage of punches and kicks and everything. But remember at the rap party, we made that snake, and everybody, it was like, we're celebrating. We became all friends at the end of the show. But Dickey, you can tell them about the English dynamic.
Which one?
Remember, we were supposed to hate each other because you guys came from England and we were Americans, and the coordinators weren't speaking.
Oh, no, I mean, there was competition going on. The American stunt people were against the English stunt people, and it was not a fun situation. Let's put it that way. There was a lot of competition going on because the English thought they were better than the Americans, and the Americans thought they were better than the English, and was all that going on. I tried to stay out of all that because I had other things to do, and but yeah, no. It was a fun it was a fun movie to do anyway. I loved it.
I loved hanging around the English stuntmen because they had great stories. Like Dickey's telling me stories today. I hung around you guys all the time. And then the American stuntmen said, why are you hanging around those guys? You're supposed to be over here with us. But the way I looked at it, we were all there for the same purpose. But the two stunt coordinators, they didn't like each other. And we're all trying to walk that fine line. But stuntmen, we were there doing the same thing, and we got along fine. We really respected each other, cared for each other, and in the case of the battles with the Ewoks, I mean, I felt bad because money is the driver of most things. And when you fly all that distance and they tell you you're going to make peanuts, I'd have been clubbing a few people too,
All right, we're going to, in a couple minutes, we're going to open up the audience for questions. But have you noticed that if you've been to a couple panels, we've been giving away something every single panel. And this year, this panel, I have the discretion of giving this out. This is the best one we've had so far, so I'm going to give this to myself. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to give this to the person who asked the best question. So keep that in mind if you guys want to ask some questions. And while you're thinking of that, I'm going to ask a couple more. But we are going to open it in a few minutes. Don't we have somebody with a mic somewhere? And he has no mic. We'll work it out then. So we'll work it out. So what do you guys? I'll open this to anybody. Do you guys have a specific part of Star Wars you really like looking back? Maybe it's something you did, or maybe it's a scene you saw. And I know Mr. Morton over there on the end's always good for a question, right when I ask you when you're blowing your anyway. But anybody has a favorite part of Star Wars they'd like to mention or talk about? If not, I'm gonna call one of the students out.
I got to say one thing real quick. And you guys saw Return of the Jedi.
All right.
You saw all the space bike stuff through the forest. And I said, how are they going to shoot this stuff? It was just a guy running through with a camera. And they undercranked it or whatever. Oh, you know more about that than I. I'm sitting next to the guy.
We called the guy that invented the Steadicam. He's running it. It wasn't steady enough because we're going to have to shoot this thing at about 2 or 3 frames a second, because he's going to have to walk through that forest, and it's going to have to be really fast for those things to work. So we bought a couple of the Army surplus binoculars that they use on boats that have a gyroscope on them. We put one east and west and one north and south, put it on his camera. He'd take his hand off it. He said, it's not moving. So now he can't move it up and down without fighting the gyroscopic action of resistance. If you look at the movie, even today, you'll see a little yellow string running around there on the ground where he's walking. Oh, by the way, those things run at 400 hertz, 60 hertz out of a wall jack, but those are 400 hertz units. We took one out by one of the electronics geeks, plugging it into that, come running to me and said, "How come this happens?" I said, "Well, it's 400 hertz because it's military stuff." He said, "Oh, well, what are we going to do?" I said, "Convert it to DC and cut it back to 400 hertz, you dummy. Go, bye. I'm busy blowing up." But that's how it worked. And yeah, he just walked slowly through there. That was Mr. Brown.
All right, do we have any questions from the audience? Where's my microphone guy? Hey, staff, you. I know, I mean, someone's got to run it. Run, run, run. You're skinny, you're young. Let's go, let's go.
So by the time Return of the Jedi started filming, Star Wars was massive, and there were people who would like specifically try to find the filming location so they could watch you guys, and then they'd spread the word and more people would come and watch. Did that ever happen when you were filming where they kind of got in the way or you had to tell them to leave, or did you like having them like off in the distance just watching you guys with binoculars and through the fences and things like that?
Well, when we were in Yuma, Arizona, there is actually pictures online that you can find out where you see the set in the background, and in the foreground you see all these dune buggies, motorcycles. Actually, they came with RVs parked down there to watch what we were doing, and that was all happening in the background. But every now and then, when the camera was looking that way, they had to clear all those people out of the way. And that was quite a job to get rid of the people that we, were in the shot. Because it was officially, originally it was supposed to be a 360-degree location. So they cleared all the vegetation out of the way, and because it had to be the white dunes, that's it. And so, yeah, I mean, they were there. And the only one that we didn't see many of them was in the Redwood Forest, because that's private property. So they couldn't get in there.
And we used a lot of local extras.
And you,
They were there, yeah. A lot of local extras were playing extra rebels or extra Empire, like stormtroopers.
you have to remember, too, if we didn't know it was Star Wars, how would anybody else know? But these were just people watching a movie shoot in the middle of the desert, for the most part.
Well, that's not quite true, because the first and the second one were already out. So it was already known as like Star Wars sequel,
When they were filming The Phantom Menace in the 90s, I was living in Germany, and I tried to get leave to get down to Africa so I could watch them film it. So you do find these things out. But back then there was the internet, so it was easy to find. But I guess some fans could figure it out.
Yeah.
But all right, you're in the running. So what's the next question? What do you got? Guy right there in the front row.
First, I want to say thank you guys. Been to a lot of celebrations and things like that. And we get to see the big three talk, but you guys really brought the movie to life. Like all the stuff I've heard over this weekend has been absolutely amazing. Do you guys have like a favorite story about? You guys seem like you really care about like Carrie. I had Alan Austin, he tells some funny stories about Carrie Fisher, or anything like pranks and things like that you guys did to each other. Because Alan told me a few.
Wait. I heard a laugh there. Was there some pranks done on the set?
Let me think about this one.
I have one of Carrie. It's actually a really nice one. Carrie did have her demons, which a lot of our friends and relatives do have. And I had worked with Under the Rainbow with Carrie before, and then when I got on in England at Elstree Studios, I was doing costume fittings over there. I saw Carrie, and Carrie remembered me from Under the Rainbow. We hugged, and she remembered the other stunt guys were there. And she was doing the scene with Mark about finding out that she's brother and sister with them. And she was just having a fun time, much like, who's the swashbuckler of the 20s?
Errol Flynn.
Errol Flynn, much like Errol Flynn. She's joking around with all the crew and having a fun time and thinking, is she inebriated or is she not? Is she just having fun? And then it goes right to cut, and she goes right in, and she's like, Luke, what do you mean? What do you mean? I could never be your sister. I could never be. I don't have those things. She never missed it. It was a long scene. It's a very long, it's like a 6-minute scene. She never missed a cut. There was no reason to cut because of her, but she was just having the fun behind the scenes. But when it came to the meat of the scene and the work, she was on. So that was really something to remember Carrie by.
So the next question over there.
So I have a couple of quick comments and then a question for David. First off, Kevin and Tracy, your book was awesome. I loved it. I read it on a flight to Hawaii for a business trip. And on the way back from that same trip, I could not sleep. I'd seen every movie on the American Airlines app, so I just read it again. And shout out to you on that. That was a great book. And also to everyone else out here.
That book is for sale, by the way,
yes,
at Kevin's table.
Go to his booth and get it. So, and then Mr. Morris, I was talking to you earlier, and I was telling you, I found your Thursdays with Thaine on YouTube. I highly recommend for everyone to go watch that. It's very quick episodes. There's probably, 10, 12 of them.
Thursday with Thaine?
Thursdays with Thaine, and he basically tells his, story. And
Are there a lot of components of Star Wars in that story?
About everything I've worked on.
Everything you worked on. Okay,
and
great. That sounds
he
interesting.
was also involved with one of the best Christmas movies of all time that came out in 1988, 89. No spoilers, but I think you can figure out what I'm talking about. Wow.
The stuff blew up there, too.
What's that?
The stuff blew up in that movie, too, the one he's talking about.
Yeah, because of Empire and Jedi, I become known as the guy that could blow stuff up. I'm an effects guy.
Okay.
If it's impossible, dangerous, or stupid, the director comes looking for me. I went from Jedi down to Los Angeles and went to work for Boss Film. Richard Edlund was the lead there. Richard was one of the lead cameramen on Empire and Jedi. And we opened that up with Ghostbusters in 2010. He lied to me. He said he had a big movie called 2010 and Ghostbusters, which was just a little movie. 2010 is the prettiest movie I ever worked on, but it certainly wasn't the best.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, a question for David. Did you have
Fantastic.
any clue that you were ever going to get called back for Rogue One? Did you?
No,
did
no.
you just get a call out of the
No,
blue
it was
one day?
like 40 years later. I was living in Kansas City, and I got a Facebook message from Matthew Wood, and they said, "Yeah, you interested in an SW project?" And I, let me check my calendar, and it was clear. Yeah, so I said, Yeah, I didn't even have a calendar then. So yeah, they flew me to Disney. I mean, it was such a different experience than the very first one I did with just a little ADR recording studio in Hollywood with George, which was pretty special. But at the time, I didn't know it was that special. It was, an afternoon's work as an actor. But this one was so different. It was, and talking about secrecy, so we get to this huge soundstage at Disney, and outside and I wish I could remember the name. It was not Rogue One. Somebody might know, but it was not that, and I can't remember the name of it.
Blue Harvest 2.
That's it. Yes, Red Harvest. And so you go in, and it's just I tell you, I got goosebumps because one of my lines was "May the Force be with you," and I was, by that time I was a huge fan, and there was about 40 voice actors there, all Kane and all these great voice over actors, and I really wasn't a voice actor. I was an actor. I did series and a lot of guest star stuff on shows, and but I just had a lot of fun, and it was so special to say those lines, and one of the things is did my job, and think it went well. Got back to Kansas City, and I got a call from Matthew saying, "Well, we made a mistake. Wedge hadn't seen the Death Star before." And in the lines they gave me, there was indications that I had seen it, or Wedge had seen it. So we had to I had to record it in Kansas City, in a little recording studio, and get it back to them. But for me, that was a pretty emotional experience. I mean, I got goosebumps. And I went to see it. I totally forgot to listen to my lines because Rogue One. I really loved Rogue One. I thought it was really amazing film.
I tried to look it up. I couldn't see what Rogue One's working title was. Does anybody here know in the audience? Do you have any good? Was it really called that, or are you just being funny?
Oh, it was okay.
Project Stardust.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look that up. You better be telling the truth.
Yeah, because it was out on the outside, and they wouldn't show us. I mean, we got to see some sequences on this huge screen in the studio. And they allowed us to see Vader's entrance. just his entrance, and they stopped it and wouldn't show us anymore. So you got an indication of kind of what that film is going to be like.
That's a great film.
Yeah.
Do we have another question?
We got many.
We'll get you in a second.
Just a show of hands, how many of you have action figures of yourselves?
Does anybody have an action figure? That's a good one.
And do you display them?
Does a Lego count? Does a Lego count?
Action figure of yourself? Do you have
Julius, you don't have a Weequay or Gamorrean or anything like that? Or a Lando? No? Okay. All right. Who else? Kevin, you raised your hand, right?
Yeah, I was.
John, sorry.
I have a Kmart. What's it called? It's the catapult. That's where I was named. I didn't find out that I was named until a fan came with the catapult to my autograph table at Celebration. At Celebration, and I'm looking at it going, "That's me." And he goes, "Yeah, I know. That's why I'm bringing it to you to sign." That's how I found out I was named.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Now, John, I know you must have a figure of either Boba Fett or Dak.
Yeah, I've got several in various forms. The first one somebody gave me was a small. It was a figure that was in one of the snow speeders about 2 decades ago, and then I discovered. Usually they were, in fact, in all cases they were given to me. Then there was Lego Dak. And then there were counterfeit action figures that I actually got here at Plano when I did Ben Stevens, one of his first, when I was with Mike Carter. And what they were was, this is kind of interesting, is history, fans and collectors. In those days, this was 1997, I think, They had all sorts of counterfeit. Was it Kenner or Hasbro that was doing the action figures? We all.
Kenner started it, and by the late '90s, it was Hasbro. But
Well,
you're
I
talking
think
about the old
I
stuff's
think it was
Kenner's.
Kenner, and I was given 2 counterfeit ones by one of the dealers that was here, to give one each to my daughters. And what they were was they were Luke Skywalker action figures. The counterfeiters would take the back off and manufacture on one side Dak with my picture and all this kind of stuff, and it would be a Dak action figure. And how you knew it was counterfeit was you turn it over and it was just cardboard, right? Didn't have this. So that was one. Well, eventually, Kenner, I guess Hasbro, decided to have action figures for all of us. So you had Wedge, and you had Zev, and Porkins, and Dak, and so forth, I believe. Then about 2 years ago, there was a Black series that was quite interesting that came out, where it was the Snowspeeder and Dak. And the Dak figure is about 9 inches and what have you. That's uncanny, because instead of having this sort of the basic generic rebel pilot face, it's John Morton. And how I know this is when they sent me one to advertise and take a picture with. I opened it up and was looking at it, and my wife said, "Hey, that's you." So what I did was I do Facebook now. I don't do Twitter anymore, or X. I very carefully crafted a shot outdoors on our deck of this action figure, and had, after a while I got it so that the eyes of the action figure are looking right at the camera. And I captured it and I posted it and I said, hey, here's an image of, what I used to look like. And nobody realized, with the comments, oh, that's a great shot. And then I revealed that, oh no, this is a piece of plastic. So, it was very interesting. So yeah, I don't want to go in any further, but there's, but to the important point you asked, Kevin, is, all right, does anybody here have an action figure of themselves, and do you exhibit it? And I can very definitely say the answer is no. It's all in storage.
All right, we had a question here in the front row. Better be a good one, because you're going to get a good prize if you.
So my question is did any of y'all take anything from the set, or maybe tried to take something and they're like, no?
Yes, but I can't tell you.
No, Dave. Dickey. Don't leave it like that. I'll have him turn the camera off, and we'll shut the doors. I was about to say, that was directed for everybody. And also, there's probably a statute of limitations, because it's been 40 years.
It's a follow-up from my story that started, when I ended up sleeping on set. When I went to the hotel and I had the helmet with me, I kept it in the hotel, never took it back to the set. So that one went with me when I went home.
Here's a follow-up question. Where's the helmet now?
It's been sold in an auction.
Oh, okay.
A couple of years ago. Yeah. Paid my mortgage.
I won't even ask. That's pretty good. Do we have another question from the audience? You already asked one. You don't get another one.
It's not for me. She's too nervous to ask. So I'm asking for it. Sure.
You could be the voice of her and just you'll be next.
Yeah, there you go.
When you guys initially worked on Star Wars, did you ever think of how big the franchise would become, how many people it would touch?
No clue.
No.
We had no idea that it was.
No idea. 40 years later.
All right, so the lady right here, come on, I want you to do it. You can do it. Don't be nervous. You can do it.
I'm such an introvert. I just wanted to know, what was the biggest takeaway working on these films? What was the biggest lesson that you learned while working on the films?
Well, that's a good question.
The biggest?
What did you learn working on the films?
Well, at the time, I can say that prior to that, there was nothing as big in Hollywood being done. And for me, I learned to collaborate better, to work more as a team, to trust the people in charge, Richard Marquand and everybody, and George Lucas. Everybody had designed these fabulous things that we had never seen before. I had to learn to trust. Like I said, there were creatures that weren't there, that we couldn't see, and we had to pretend they were there. And it was just really a film of trust. The work that you did, everybody, this visual effects, special effects, everybody did something that was really unique for the time. And it was just, I thought it was going to be the corniest movie ever made. I really did. And to look at it is just amazing. And we were talking about today the vision that George Lucas had. You can tell that the newer Star Wars, they don't measure up to these. You know they don't. To be honest, they don't. They're okay, but they're not like the first three.
Hear, hear. I completely agree with that. Applaud. I'm so cool with it. So that was a good question. You did a good job there. Do we have any other questions in the audience? It's right behind you.
While you're waiting, can I add a little piece to that?
John, you can say whatever you want, man. Anything.
You know, I'm an old guy. I'm 77, and so in the 70s, I was still a hippie. And
with a ponytail?
Not in the early 70s, yeah. That ponytail went when I did a job in France, and I wanted to get it in the country.
Because you have a ponytail now, you know that, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They said if you're a long hair, you're going to get busted going across the border, so you better get your hair cut, which I did, to my regret. But anyway, getting back to what I wanted to say. In those days, there was a book that was around called Small is Beautiful. And all of us hippies or post-hippies or whatever I could identify with in those days had this notion that small is beautiful, and so therefore small films and small productions had more honesty. And, you know, quite frankly, I was influenced by, you know, Taxi Driver and, you know, those sorts of films. And so when I was booked to do Star Wars, Star Wars was a huge film, at least the second one, Empire Strikes Back. It was not a small film, with a huge budget, huge cast, huge whatevers. And so kind of like what you're saying, Julius, is that I kind of went into this thing thinking, oh, this is, you know, this is Hollywood, this isn't art. And I very quickly realized that the spirit of the film that George and Gary Kurtz in particular brought to the production carried all the way down from the top down to the tea lady. And I came away instantaneously with, I think, the kind of thing you're talking about, Julius, where I would say to people, oh, not only small is beautiful. It was a great experience. The morale was so high and what have you, at least with Empire Strikes Back, which is all I can talk about. You guys have different experiences. But it really was a magical, spirit-filled, force-filled experience for me, which I think carries over today, which has a lot to do with kind of what you're saying, Kevin. It's, you know, there was some honesty that was in there, whatever we say about commercialism, that carries over to why you're here. I mean, we and the fans are all part of this amazing experience. Anyway, so yeah, not only small is beautiful. That was my lesson.
We have time for one more question.
Question for those that were involved with the Sarlacc pit scenes from Jedi. Seen a lot of photos online from behind-the-scenes shots that show a bunch of speeder bikes from Endor that were actually at the Sarlacc pit, but yet I've never seen anything from a script or scenes that were ever shot, but I don't know if anybody had any insight into what those were doing out there.
I've never seen. So you're saying you saw pictures of speeder bikes that were later used in the movie for Endor, the Endor scenes.
Yeah.
They were in pictures that were on the desert scenes of.
Yes.
So any chance they had them there just for you guys to practice what it was like to sit on them or something?
No, they were never there. Not as far as I know.
Interesting.
Did they film the Sarlacc pit scenes first and then move you guys up immediately to Florida? So maybe it was a shipping thing?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, what it was is, you ever see the Road Runner and Wile E. Coyote?
Quite often.
It was kind of like that. I mean, I did a stunt in the forest, and Dickey did one where you saw he got catapulted into a tree. Well, I was on the end of the catapult with Dickey on it.
Russian swing.
And a Russian swing. Never been done before. And, you know, these were all new stunts. And those bikes were, this was the end result of what you saw after the work you did through the forest. Dickey hit the tree, and then I hit the log that, you know, I rolled over on the log, and I was on this big thing that looked like a roller coaster. And the stunt coordinator back then, you couldn't refuse anything or you wouldn't work anymore. So I got on this thing. It had wheels. It was on a rail. And I was going down and, you know, did you see the whole stunt, Dickey? It was a pretty good clip. And it wasn't very well designed because the way you got off of the thing, it was a big redwood tree that was on the ground. You had to time it to where you had to clear the redwood tree, and if you stuck in there, you're going to get hurt real bad. So it was just things like that was being, Kevin, the stunts that you guys did, these was like, they were we didn't have a lot of rehearsal time.
There was no rehearsal. No rehearsal time. It was like, this is a scene, and Dave Tomlin, who was the first AD on the movie, he explained to everybody where they had to be and what was going to happen, and that was it. They rolled the camera and do it. That's the way we did it.
So I think the answer to your question is no, you're wrong. There was no, but I wonder if they were shipping the stuff all together, maybe they just had a couple of pieces of equipment.
That's
and it could
a
have been-
possibility that they actually
It's a
had the
mystery.
props with us, or they were still working on it, but I don't remember seeing that.
Do you know one thing that they do, and I know they did this with movies in the prequels, is that they'd be working on one scene and they have another scene, it's weeks down the road to be filmed. They'd bring something for George to look at to say, yeah, that works or not. Yeah, that'll work, we'll do
That's a
that.
possibility, yes, but as I say, I don't remember seeing that, no.
All right, so,
He's good friends with George.
all right, we'll see this. Thaine, would you know anything about speeder bikes from the Return of the Jedi scenes that were actually in where they were filming the outside Jabba's sailboat scene?
Not on the sailboard scene, I don't know. We had speeder bikes at ILM that we had to modify so we could put them on a crane and slam them together for the chase scene, and it was all shot in front of a blue screen.
Okay.
And it was about 2 days shooting with that, and we had to come up with a way to take a thing called a tulip crane. It was designed to put in the back of a pickup truck, take two of them and put the speeder bikes on them and figure out how we could turn them round and round so that we could control them. It ended up with the front wheel hubs off of AMC cars, which you can buy cheap, and a rope wrapped around a brake drum so that we could control it from the back. I mean, it was, you know, like I said, if it's stupid, crazy, or dangerous, that's what we're going to do.
Any chance the cranes that you used for the speeder bikes, were they the same cranes that were used during the scenes for Jabba's sail barge?
No.
Okay. I was thinking maybe they all shipped together or something like that.
But those cranes are camera cranes.
Okay.
The sail barge one time when they wanted me to blow that up, and I told them that it would look like, well, we can't say it in front of public.
I get you.
And that was when we had to go back and make the Minotaur to make it work.
Okay.
That thing was a pole barn covered with plywood, basically.
All right.
And try to blow that up?
There you good, very good. Well, I want to thank you all for coming. This was I didn't know the battle between the Ewoks and the Stormtroopers were real. How intense it was. This was a great panel. But we have one more job we have to do before we go. We have to find out who wins this thing. So I've narrowed it down to 2 questions that were asked by our wonderful audience. Somebody asked about favorite stories or pranks, and Kevin gave a great answer with Carrie. So that's in the running. And the other one I thought was by the little silent one who didn't want to talk. I liked your question about what did you learn, and I think Julius and I think John gave great answers. So which ones do you think should win, guys? It's the favorite story, or what did you learn the most from being in Star Wars? What do you guys think should win?
I think, what did you learn?
Is that good? We're all in agreement? What did you learn? Which one asked that one? That was you, the quiet one. Look, you win a Darth Vader concept. All yours. Thank you very much. Now, I would say to go in and enjoy the rest of the show today, but actually the convention is over at 8 o'clock, right? Am I right? Is it 8 o'clock? Do you have any idea what I'm talking about? Go away, Dave. Go away. Anyway, so, but the convention is here tomorrow, so you can enjoy it tomorrow, and all of these wonderful people will be in the autograph hall. You're all here tomorrow, right? Yes. Fantastic. So see everybody. Whoa, 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 whoa. Everybody sit down. Sit down. So he has a picture of the speeder bikes on the set. He's right. That's the back of the Katana. Who wants to see this? I don't know. We'll just pass this around. That's the back of the Katana, which is Jabba's sail barge, and there's a bunch of speeder bikes. Maybe they were first thought of to be part of that scene and then scrapped and brought into. We have a mystery here. Very good, sir. You can keep that phone. You can keep that phone. Go back and get it. You go get
As I said, I've never seen those, but I reckon that they took them there to show them to the director, and they had to approve the final looks of it, you know. That's what I reckon it was. And then they must have been shipped to the location in North California.
Okay, that makes me good sense. Oh, we're still going to go on this, all right?
One more thing that was very important. All of this stuff was secrecy.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the most important things was the toys, the Kenner Toys and Hasbro. They didn't want anybody taking any pictures of anything so that somebody can go and make it and put it out before the show was released.
That's
So I'm
because
sure-
that
sure in
happened
the-
on the first Star Wars movie. And Lucas stopped that by, stopped like people making toys without paying for it. That's basically what it was, And that's why on all the other films, and even now it's still going on, it's like you have to shut your mouth and don't make any pictures. It just happened actually on a new Star Wars TV episode that comes out now. One of the mothers of one of the children that was on that movie.
Be careful, she's here.
Yeah, one of the mothers that was on that movie made a picture of her child on set, and I think it was either a picture or a video, but I'm not sure. But ended up on Facebook, on the internet. That scene is now taken out of the movie because of that.
But, like I said, it's after 8 o'clock, so we gotta kind of go. But you guys are all going to be tomorrow. And if you want, you guys can come down and meet them. Thank you very much.